Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of White Heat of Wrestling Podcast. Before we get into that, we gotta thank our sponsor for this episode, Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. And I mean, I don't know about you, but anytime I try to trade in a vehicle or get rid of a used vehicle, it always becomes a big pain in the ass. Every dealer wants you to trade in now, especially because of the shortage of inventory in the market. So you trade it in, you got your money in your hands. What the hell are you gonna do now? They don't have anything that you want. So what does that mean? You got to go to Mohawk Honda. Not only will they give you top dollar for your trade-in, we have acres and acres of inventory for you to choose from. They have the largest inventory of vehicles in the capital region, and that means you can choose the one that's right for you. There's dealers out there that talk about their values and all that stuff, but Mohawk Honda, they want to focus on your values. Value in selection, but more importantly, value in how you're treated. Don't feel pressure to buying something from another dealer because that's the best they can do, especially if you're not guaranteed it's going to be a quality vehicle in the long run. Go to Mohawk Honda and buy the vehicle you deserve. Their vast selection of certified pre-owned vehicles is guaranteed to fit your needs and your lifestyle, not the other dealer's values. So this summer, selection is king, and no one has more to choose from than Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. And now let's get into this episode of White Heat, a wrestling podcast. Holla, 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 holla. Welcome to White Heat Wrestling Podcast. I'm Brian Cady, as always, joined by JJ Alexander. We're brought to you by Mohawk Honda this week, and of course, as always, presented by Godzilla Media. And our Twitters, if you want to follow us, our socials down below, scrolling the whole time, at Brian Cady and at JJ_Alexander. And of course, you have any questions, comments, concerns, stories about dudes you ran into at the airport. I don't give a shit. Whatever you want to send in. You want to send that long form stuff to the email scrolling down below, brian.cady@godzillamedia.com.
And Brian will go out of his way to please you.
Well, there's various ways of explaining that, but sure. What's going on, JJ? How you doing, man?
It's a hell of a week. Just exhausting shit, like personal life and just watching TV. But hey, whatever. I'm here. Computer worked.
Watching TV, especially recently in wrestling, can be exhausting. I can totally understand that for you, because I feel you. I feel you on that one. Now, before we get into anything that was on the box the last week, let's just get into some stuff, general conversations. What? Because I said the box. I was referring to the box. Get your mind out of the fucking gutter, all right?
You gotta understand, there's a history with that shit.
Let's get to some general topics, that aren't just WWE focused. And I want to start with one because I know it's something that you've noticed and I've noticed, and let's just say the three-worded phrase that's hurting some big time spots these days. Fucking crash pads. Let's just be real for a second, all right? If you rewind back to a week and a half, you really think Roman Reigns is tossing Dom out of the ring like that without there being something already placed there, out of sight, obviously, with the angle they picked for the camera?
Yeah.
You think there's not going to be something there to at least cushion his fall a little bit? Like this isn't the 70s or even the early 80s where people didn't really give a shit about telling TV producers or anything, or really give a shit about general safety, and they just toss on the concrete like it's nothing. All right, people become a lot more health conscious, and obviously, they're going to try to protect it, but at least not make it totally fucking obvious. I mean, it's I don't know. It's something that I know has irked both of us, so I'll let you speak your 2 cents on it.
I mean, it's great that especially Vince has found a way, and in the era of not having fans, to do bigger spots and have guys land on something and be safe. But then, like, after the first couple of weeks, it was just like, I'm gonna keep using it, and I'm gonna keep using it, and I'm gonna keep using it, and people are gonna keep getting choke slammed over the barricade where you can't see them, or into the timekeeper's area, or off camera, And now it's an every week occurrence. It's kind of like going through the announce table. It used to be a big spot. Now it happens every fucking week. It's lost its magic.
Like, I'll be like, I'm
Unless
okay, because I think you're referring to, like, when you were running through that list, you were referring to, like, going over the barricade because there's nothing else there, so why the fuck not go over the barricade?
Right.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'd say the one part that's kind of in that category that I think has been overused in the last 18 months has been going through the barricade.
Yeah.
I think that's been overdone. More so, I can deal with tossing somebody over it. It's the going through it that I think has bugged me more because it's been an overused spot, particularly in WWE. Because in AEW, I mean, they technically still had quote unquote fans, even though it was really just the talent that weren't being used on the show. So it's like, they still had an audience to deal with in that regard. So it wasn't really as done or noticeable if it was done on their programming. But I mean, here's the other side of it, though. Now what? When you go back to being in front of fans in a month, because obviously you're not gonna be able to pull the same shit off because everybody in the room is going, "Oh, they're bringing out crash pads. There's a big spot coming up. Oh boy, oh boy!" Like, I mean,
if they do go for it, it'll be backstage shit, or it'll be off the fucking entrance stage where people can't see. It'll be that.
Right. Like back in the day when they tossed Kane into a dumpster and had it burst into flames, that kind of thing. Just, over the top stupid shit like that. Okay, yeah. That's understandable. But that's the point is, you leaned on it, good for you. Yeah, you've gone away with it for about 18 months. But now you would think that now that you're within a month of going back on the road, you would start veering away from that shit.
You think?
And you would get to a point where you get these talents and not just talents, everybody, producers, creative, production talent that's in the truck and on the floor with the cameras. You would think everybody is going to try to get into that mentality of thinking about how to do shit when you are in front of a live audience again. And clearly there's no attempt to even think about that at this point yet from WWE. And you would hope that in the coming weeks of TV leading up to when they get on the road for the go home Smackdown to Money in the Bank and then that pay-per-view, that they start changing that mentality and putting it to work.
Right, exactly. You'd think that, but you'd be wrong.
God damn it, I'm going to do whatever I want because I'm a fucking billionaire.
Exactly. And here's the thing. If you noticed, a couple weeks back, they said that when they go on the road, that SmackDown and Raw and the pay-per-views are going to get all new stages and all new entrances. And so there's going to be more room for crash pads that you can't see.
Or they're going to say all new stages and all new entrances because nobody really fucking remembers what everything looked like 18 months ago without the Thunderdome.
There's TV.
I'm just saying, I like.
It would be funny if the entire entrance area was just turned into a giant bounce house.
Oh, God almighty. Oh, boy.
With like that bounce house slide as the ramp.
What do you think of this shit? Where do you think of this shit?
It just
you have too much time on your hands. Too much time on your hands.
Yep. The thing that fucking gets me is they tossed freaking Dominic Mysterio into a damn crash pad, and now they're saying he's going to be out of action for like 8 weeks.
Well, if they hold true to the story, which isn't done a whole lot in 2021 pro wrestling, but let's assume they do. You know what that means?
Strip them of the belts.
Well, hypothetically, if you go by the rule book, again, a lot of air quotes there. That's true. At the same time, though, let's assume they don't go by the book. The invisible book, by the way. If you go by that invisible book, your wish is not going to come true before fans come back into the crowds.
Oh, but you see, my wish would come true. My prediction is they take the belts off him and they injure the kid so they don't have him in front of the crowd. My wish is they put him in front of a crowd and watch him get booed out the fucking building.
Well, I mean, all right. So let me backtrack. Your logical prediction would not come true. How that
Okay.
better?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And our logical wish, like, well, not wish, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The logic that we hope prevails eventually comes true. But if it doesn't prevail, oh boy, I can't wait to watch that meltdown. So yeah, there's that. All right. So that's number one. Number two. So there's one potential retirement announcement that happened last night. I'm not sure you even saw yet. That I'm gonna take relatively seriously, given the nature of what's going on and all that. But there's one that you enlightened me on from a few days ago that I'm more, and I think we're both at this level. We're both kind of, So earlier in the week, ACH comes out, formerly known in WWE during his stint as well as Jordan Miles or some shit like that.
I don't even remember. I remember we had a breadsticks. That's about it.
Well, that being said, so ACH comes out and announces his retirement. And
like I fucking said last week, lottery balls.
Like I'm not, because I'm trying to think. He obviously was doing a lot of work with PWG for a while there. Then I think, didn't he do some stuff with MLW as well for a little bit of time?
Briefly? Yeah, right after he announced his retirement, he legit showed up at MLW like 2 weeks later. Like the first time he announced his retirement. Like I said.
So he's gonna. Oh my God Almighty! Which is interesting in this regard because, a lot of people use this saying strictly just to people who leave WWE, but I think it's a generally true saying about the business as a whole. The saying of never say never.
Yeah.
So pretty much anytime somebody says retirement, we usually do Edge coming back, nobody could have really seen that coming. Let's just put that out there. Like, that was legit. We thought there's no fucking way because it's the neck. And then anything involving neck or head, like Daniel Bryan coming back, like the way it was pictured when he first left, it was like there's no fucking way. Right. So that's two people where it's like they returned, but that was one of those things where you really thought never. Right. But aside from that, anybody else, you're just kind of like, it's kind of like I'm retiring, wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing. So it's just like, but I'll throw this one out there to you though. And this happened last night. So last night, AIW, which I believe is Absolute Intense Wrestling.
The guys out of Illinois.
They had a show in Cleveland that had, and you know, a few of the guys at the show were Zack Ryder and Hornswoggle. So Hornswoggle finishes his match and then ends up announcing, in complete seriousness, that he's going in for major back surgery, and there's a very high likelihood, he says, that was his last match. So, like, to me, it's another one of those things where, to me, that there's three very sensitive areas that you kind of just got to take their word for it. And generally, it's head, neck, back. Like, those are the three things. Because the back, you're talking about your spinal cord, your nervous system in general. Neck, pretty much the same thing. And then head, I mean, with everything that's developed with concussions over the last 10 to 20 years. So with Hornswoggle, I think that's one of those where I'll take his word for it, but I'm also going to kind of wait and see until I give it 100% certainty, because who knows if something changes along the way where it doesn't turn out to be as bad when they open him up, and it, you know, or maybe he has a weird rehab that works better than others. I don't know. That's just, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
But I mean, Also, who the fuck hires Hornswoggle to work actual matches? You bring him in to sign autographs and shit and do like a stupid comedy spot. Like,
I, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you what I read. So, I mean, obviously, I wish him the best. Apparently, it was taken so seriously that like he had his son there too, and he had him get in the ring, and like so that's another reason why I'm kind of like, all right. I mean, you wouldn't just randomly bring your son to the ring for no fucking reason. So I don't know, but obviously, wish him the best. Now moving on. I want to bring something up because you. Now I don't know. I didn't see any numbers yet from last night with SmackDown ratings, Dynamite ratings. I haven't seen any of that shit yet.
I saw SmackDown ratings.
Okay, so this is perfect because I'm going to bring this up to you because we had a discussion when it was first announced on Thursday night that all of a sudden, you know what, we're going to do a complete 180 and take this Mysterio Reigns Hell in a Cell match. We're going to put it on live national broadcast TV for free. And I was of the stance that this is fucking stupid. Like, why would you give away a Hell in a Cell match on free TV? And you were of the stance of pop a rating, cut into the first quarter hour for AEW, which, if this was the Monday Night Wars, obviously that would make a ton of sense. To me, at this point, it's like, it's fucking AEW. But I understood where you were coming from. So that said, you saw numbers apparently. Go ahead. Like, what did you see?
SmackDown's rating was up. It's funny because if you look at the dirt sheets that report on it, they tried to skew it by saying SmackDown unable to hit blah 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 number and making it look like they lost. No, they went up. They hit just shy of 2 million viewers. It was like 1.928 million, which was up from the previous week.
Okay, so that's good. Obviously, that's good. But here's what I'm still not understanding. Now what? Like, I know you've been talking about how they've been cutting down their pay-per-views, and they're set up right now for 6 matches, and we'll dissect the Hell in a Cell card, later in the show. But like, it just irks me when I'm not saying every title is to be defended every single pay-per-view, but there are certain titles where the expectation level, I would think, is that it's going to be defended every pay-per-view. So, to me, when you look at the card and you see now all of a sudden the top title on SmackDown is not on the show, even though it's a co-brand pay-per-view, it kind of leaves you wondering, what the fuck now?
However, it looks good on Roman's part. It's basically Fox. It's to appease Fox, but Roman still defended the title on Friday, and he is putting out an open challenge to defend the title on the next SmackDown on Friday. So that's 2 Fridays in a row of free TV that the champ is working. That's the exchange, and it's the handoff because that was the laziest fucking build up to a Hell in a Cell match ever. So why the fuck put that on pay-per-view? So now they've switched it off so that it'll be Bayley and Bianca in the fucking cell.
Which, on that side of the fence, it makes sense. I understand that.
Exactly.
Although, if you ask me, as much as I agree with the shift of the SmackDown Hell in a Cell match, I think it would have been a better payoff for the other SmackDown match that got added last night. Or one of the 2 other matches that got added last night, because they went from 2 SmackDown matches to 1 once they announced the Mysterio Reigns match getting moved. Then they made 2 other ones on the fly last night.
Right.
I think it would have been a better payoff for the Rollins Cesaro story. Not to say that Bayley and Bianca don't deserve it. I just think it's kind of too soon. You could have held off on any kind of stipulation match until either Money in the Bank, if you're going that far, or if you're going even further for SummerSlam. I don't know. I just feel like Smart move. I just think they chose the wrong one. That's all. But I'm not going to complain because at least it's off the Mysterio match, and that's done and over with.
Yeah, it's part of Vince is really, really behind Bianca. He's been behind her since Tripp signed her because she was one of those collegiate athletes, and she could also lift, and so that's like Vince's wet dream. But so if you look at just her year, this year she won the Rumble, she was in the main event of the first night of Mania,
won the belt.
Title. Yep. What do you call it? And she's the first She's the first woman to be in a Hell in a Cell match that wasn't one of the 4 horsewomen.
Mm-hmm. True. Because it's Yep. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it's better rotation of essentially Bailey, Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. Yeah, you're right. You're right. What else is new? Now here's the last thing I want to bring up before we get into the TV stuff from the past week.
Yeah.
AEW is invading Vince territory. Oh boy. That's not how they're publicizing it. That's how I decided to dress it up, just because I knew it would generate that reaction out of you. So September the 15th, they're doing a live Wednesday Night Dynamite from
Arthur Ashe Stadium.
No, that's the 22nd. The week before, they're going to be at Prudential Center in Newark. The 22nd, they're going to do an outdoor show, which is asterisk outdoor because the stadium does have a roof, which can be closed for the show if they need to. But it's going to be at Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing, New York, which I get you can't fill MetLife Stadium yet and never will. So you got to go a little smaller. But what you also did is you're not even really in the city.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the burbs.
Here's what I don't fucking get as well. Anytime you see Vince come to an arena, there's always obviously a different setup and a different amount of seats you can put in there.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, with a tennis arena, arguably you're going to able to fit a few more seats because you can put the ring in the center where the courts are. You can have the entranceway, and you can still have seating added around that. You can have floor seating added. So, how is it that a 22,000 seat arena is only going to seat 17,000 for this event?
Because they're not smart enough to strip down their set for one night. I'm not saying that's the correct answer. I'm assuming that's the correct answer because it's AEW. Like, They don't have enough common sense to say, we don't need the big screen. They got screens there. We don't need the big ramp. That's not necessary. They're saying, fuck that logic. Let's screw ourselves and the arena out of extra money.
They're just it's getting too big for their britches is an understatement. They're like, oh, look, we sold out one spot on our house show tour, on our Dynamite tour. Yeah, in Miami, in a 4,000 seat auditorium.
Well, it's not just that. I feel like there's not enough forward thinking on the executive level to think out simple shit, like when you're to focus specifically on the Flushing show. Don't you think it would be kind of cool to do a stripped down, like, let me make this analogy, okay? In music,
mm-hmm.
There are some artists who obviously do their normal work, but also do really good shit just acoustic.
Yeah.
They strip down the songs and they put those in the album too because they sound really fucking good as well.
Right.
Don't you think once in a while, like even WWE does this when they do the fucking old school Raws, like they'll strip down the set. It's not all
Right.
fucking sunshines and rainbows and pyro and all kinds of other shit. They strip it down like it was in the early '90s because they didn't have that shit in the early '90s.
Right.
So it's like, don't you think once in a while doing the acoustic version would be kind of a cool angle to go with? And they weren't forward thinking enough about this, if that's the case, because I'll guarantee I'll be willing to put whatever money is still in my bank account today. I'll be willing to put that on the fact they're still going to go with their full staging, and that's why they cut out 5,000 seats.
Probably. And also, like a lot of people, I know people that live in the Flushing area. Number one, there's places you could run around there that have hosted wrestling before. This has never hosted wrestling, so it's going to be a clusterfuck as far as setup goes. Also, from what I've heard, parking there is awful and expensive.
Yep.
So have fun.
Yep. And now I could be completely off base with this because obviously I only know Arthur Ashe Stadium as a Now I should actually probably look this up before, and I will do this as I phrase this. From what I remember about the U.S. Open when they hosted in August into the Labor Day portion of September.
Yeah.
They usually have all their concessions outside during the event because people come in and out all the time and all that shit. Are there even fucking concessions inside the goddamn stadium so that people aren't going outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside? Like that wouldn't make any fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
Again, logistics. God forbid anybody thinks about fucking logistics. Of course, there's no goddamn answer. Maybe.
Like, you remember a few years back how fucking TNA would do minor league baseball fields and shit, and then only draw 20 people because they didn't advertise in that town or whatever. But that's what Dynamite should be doing. They should be looking for those high-end AAA stadiums and trying to do shows there. Because those have been proven to host wrestling shows.
Kind of like draw. TNA did for a little while back in the day.
Yeah, like I said. Right.
Yeah.
That's what they should be doing. But no. They want to be, we're going to blah, 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 blah. And, dude, I'm going to fucking, okay.
That would be smart for a summer tour, not going to lie. For summer, that would be smart.
Yeah. Just because you dumb motherfuckers, before you were a corporation, had one pay-per-view where you sold out a 12,000-seat arena because of crowdfunding and because of speculating scalpers, and you have never been able to duplicate that again. It's, oh my God.
Plus, you factor in that for that show, there was only an assumption, not an actual reality, that there was going to be a promotion following it up. So there was a lot. So nobody really knew if it was going to be a complete one-off or just an annual show.
Right, exactly. And it was widely known that when they toured to fucking tape Dynamite, they had to crowd all the people into the hard cam spot, and the rest of the arena was empty. And these were small arenas, and they just figured now we're older, and now, because COVID is rolling down, everyone wants to come out. No, that's not the fucking case. Yeah, you're in Florida. You're in the fucking ball sack of America where people are stupid and go to shit like that. But guess what? It's not like that when you come up north. You can come to New York and people are going to be like, fuck you. Who are you? We don't care. That the arena will take your money. And you're literally going to be doing the same thing. You're going to sell, if you're lucky, you will sell 5,000 tickets for that 17,000 seat arena show. and you're going to have to squash everyone on a hard cam again and not be able to do a fucking panoramic view, not that your production team is smart enough to do a panoramic view of anything, because you obviously can't, because you filmed Chris Jericho landing on cardboard in a crash pad, as we already stated. But like, just because like they get like the Daily News and the New York Post to be like, blah, 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 bow down, Daddy Vince, or whatever the fuck, that doesn't fucking matter. That's because you made the announcement and they wanted some fucking ink because it was a slow fucking news day. Like, you think they're going to fucking care? You think they're going to hype your shit for the next fucking X amount of months until it happens? No, it's not going to fucking happen. Yo, it's just like perfect analogy. Perfect analogy. And so, you know where I would run our DPW shows,
like the VFWs, stuff like that.
Well, no, the exact building in Torrington, Connecticut.
Yes.
The bigger one, not the smaller one, the bigger one.
Yes.
That was before I approached them.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling had never been in that building. I created that spot as a wrestling destination.
And now
someone else poached my venue and is running a show there tonight. I talked to the husband of a family who have loyally come to all of our events. And I said, hey, Rob, and who is familiar with that venue because he has friends who are members who were hanging out in the bar in that venue every fucking weekend. And I said, hey, Rob.
You just said the first name. I think I know who you're talking about, too.
I was like, there's a wrestling show at the Knights tonight. He's like, there is? I'm like, yeah, it's not me. He's like, I haven't heard fucking shit about it in town. I'm like, neither is anyone else.
So they're killing the town for you on complete purpose, it sounds like.
I'm done with that town now. They poached my fucking venue and they've killed the town. I'm done with it. We have to move on. Not only that, but here, you want a kicker? You want a kicker? You know how much they were charging for admission?
$20. More?
40 for front row, 35 for general admission.
Who the fuck were they bringing in?
Nobody. It's all students.
Oh, fuck me.
Yep. But you can't stand on the shoulders of giants and expect to just draw. That's all I'm saying. And that's what AEW needs to learn. You can't just come to New York and be like, "This is Vince territory," and we had one person hype us and say, "Oh yeah, but that's not going to count. It's not going to count for you getting ass and seats."
Okay, let's backtrack there for a second. And by the way, as you notice, it took me a half hour to realize why our background was not coming in, because I was a fucktard and hit the wrong button. So that being said, I feel like every once in a while we go into Indie Wrestling 101. Like we open the doors to Brian and JJ's school of Indie Wrestling 101.
Basically.
And this is really basic economics. For any of you, I don't care if you're just a talent, a referee, a fucking manager, but this especially goes out to promoters and people who are vendors for these promoters and actually have money backing them.
Mm-hmm.
If you are running shows with students only, if your ticket is more than 10 to 15, who the fuck's going to really come to that?
Exactly.
If you have students plus some noteworthy regional talent, if your ticket's more than 15, even 20, and that might be pushing it, who the fuck's going to come? If you book one talent that was nationally known, and you go above 25, 30s even pushing, I think, you're fucking stupid. Are you noticing the trend here? Like,
yeah,
you have to price, not only do you have to price based on your booking, you have to price based on your market and the market value right now. Because coming out of COVID, do you not know unemployment has gone up? Who the fuck knows how much over the last 18 months? And it's not just because people got laid off, it's because there's also people who are depressed and don't want to work because they're fucked in the head. And
Yep.
wrestling, you know what, would help them clear their fucking heads. But no, let's not use common sense and jerk off everyone by jacking up the prices 200%. The
Yep.
fuck are you thinking?
It's because they think, oh, well, I wasn't able to run for a year, so I need to recoup that. But the thing is, you're not recouping shit because you know something, you probably save money in the long run. You save money in the long run by not running and not losing money on every fucking show.
Thank you. The only way you could have possibly been losing money, and I don't know the scenario behind these guys, so I can't even assume what they actually do. The only way you could have possibly been losing money is if you had your equipment, your ring and whatever, in a storage place where you pay monthly. And even then, there's no fucking way you're paying that much for a rental space that makes you want to jack up your ticket prices 200 to 300%.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I hate promoters who don't understand the concept of market pricing. Like like WWE, they'll get away with whatever they want to fucking do because they're WWE. Like in the long run, they are what they are. They're gonna draw. I mean, not including house shows. They're gonna draw pretty much a full house no matter where they go because they're WWE. All right.
But even they're offering economically viable pricing right now.
Right. Like there's a reason. There's a reason Vince is here, and all you motherfuckers working the indies are down here. Yep. There's a fucking reason. Well, more than one reason. But let that be like one reason. He understands economics. You fucking don't. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest because you brought it up in the midst of your answer. And I was like, oh, motherfucker. Oh, man. All right.
Right. But yeah. It's gonna be an embarrassment, and everyone else that thinks otherwise, like, because they're like, well, look, when they run Double or Nothing in Vegas, they blah, 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 blah. Like, no, this is a different.
You're not a national brand,
right? Not only that, but I'm gonna call this made as made. They just had Double or Nothing at Daly's place, which is what, a 5,000 seat arena,
some shit like that.
They didn't sell out. There were still, like, as of the day of the show, there was still like 100 seats available.
You know, I'm gonna go on a limb and say something that I know is gonna make some friends of mine very angry. I don't give a shit. I'm at a point where, and this is gonna be disrespectful to others, but I don't care. WWE is the only true national brand. Because think about it. Ring of Honor is pretty much contained to the Northeast and Eastern Canada. Generally speaking, like Eastern Seaboard, we'll say. We'll say Eastern Seaboard. Because they do go to Florida, they go to Maryland.
Right.
So I'll give them that. I'll give them Eastern Seaboard. They go to the Carolinas. Eastern Seaboard and Eastern Canada. Which is pretty much just Ontario and maybe Quebec.
Yeah.
MLW, it's still a process. They're too young.
They pretty much are also, they run Northern East Coast, and they'll run like one or two West Coast spots. But they're pretty much just coastal.
But they understand their spots to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
What else? It's too early to call anything with New Japan and the brand they're trying to establish in the U.S. I'm not going to bother forecasting that. But if I remember correctly, they're pretty much, I'm about to say they're pretty much, along the West Coast only.
Yeah.
Am I crazy enough to the point where I can say AEW is essentially a territory and not a national brand?
I wouldn't even call them a fucking territory. They run in like they run in the same 3-city area in fucking Florida. They're an indie. They're an indie with money.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
Until you get to a point where you are making money and ratings comparable to WWE. And we're not talking about your fucking ratings on Dynamite. Like, I'm talking about pay-per-view buys, merchandise sales, ticket sales, the size of the buildings you're running. Until you get on level with WWE on any of that shit, I don't even think of you as a. I mean, nobody's ever going to compete with WWE because they're an international, worldwide brand. But I'm not even going to think of you as even in the same county as WWE, let alone the same fucking breath.
Right.
So yeah, AEW is not a national brand. They just happen to have a national TV contract, motherfuckers.
Right. I mean, fucking, well, let's, call a spade a spade. That was the same way, like, in its dying days, the AWA was. Like, they were literally just running in, like, 2 spots in Minnesota and like, that 1 spot in Vegas. And they didn't tour. Right, exactly. But they were on ESPN. Yay.
Yep. Yep. And Impact, I mean the way Impact, like, the incarnation of TNA, Impact, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they've had so many different definitions of what their locale is. I mean, generally speaking, it was confined to Tennessee. It was based out of Tennessee, obviously, for the longest time.
Right.
Now, who the fuck knows? I don't know, and I don't really care anymore because, oh, that reminds me. One other thing before we get to WWE TV. Did you see this cock shit that they pulled off with this angle involving Kenny, Moose, Sammy, and then Scott D'Amore, and Don Callis?
Yeah, that was, I mentioned it last week how they flubbed the fucking the main event of fucking Kenny versus Moose.
What the fuck are we doing here?
Being dumb, because Don Callis has officially been fired from Impact, both in kayfabe and in reality.
I sense a headache coming on.
I told you, it's all fuckery. So AEW can buy Impact for peanuts.
This is why I actually watched Smackdown on my DVR last night after the baseball game I announced, and I fast forwarded through Dynamite. It's shit like this. Like, I fucking can't. And even when I fast forwarded, I couldn't find myself any place to stop because nothing made me fucking care. Not even this stupid ass. Oh, here's another thing. For those of you who didn't like Floyd Mayweather versus Jake Paul, don't go back and watch Wardlow versus Jake Hager in a cage match last night. If you're any kind of combat sports fan and you try going into Hager versus Wardlow in a cage with a completely unbiased eye, God bless your soul. Okay? It was the biggest mockery of mixed martial arts I'd ever fucking seen. Like, I mean, their wrestling punches weren't even looking good to be like. They're clearly not trying to hit each other with everything they've got in this thing. So it's clearly not MMA. I don't give a shit if Wardlow has a jiu-jitsu and boxing background. We all know what Hager can do. But you could tell Hager was pulling back, even though he probably wanted to kill the fat bastard. Like, fuck all. What was the point of that?
It was AEW trying to copy the Fight Pit.
You can't.
I know.
Oh, man. Like,
I also need to mention
that was the only thing I didn't fast forward through just because I wanted to see the execution. And I still want to stab my eyeballs with a rusty spoon.
I need to mention something about AEW. I don't know if it's happened yet or not, but I'm getting ahead of the game here, like just in case. And I'm openly saying, fuck Brock Anderson.
He just debuted last night.
Okay, so I'm right here. I didn't watch it, but fuck Brock Anderson.
Yeah, he was on. I mean, he was technically on Dynamite the week before, but he was in wrestling. He was just there for. He was sticking for Cody at the end of. I don't know. Something happened again. I remember I didn't even bother watching Dynamite that week.
He is literally AEW's Dominic Mysterio. Not a single match to his name before debuting on fucking cable TV.
Well, you could say that about anybody that they're pulling out of the Nightmare Factory and putting in the ring.
Not better. But still, this is legit just fucking nepotism. Like, okay, yeah, he looks like a young arm. Okay, that's great. I don't care that Arn's his fucking dad. That doesn't fucking matter. You have no experience working in front of a fucking crowd, let alone working on TV.
Well, you know what you do? You put them on dark or dark elevation. You let them do the YouTube shit. Now, I'm not saying I understand where you're coming from, and I agree, generally speaking. What I'm saying is they have the outlet to let guys get used to that shit. So
their guys should be the ones doing the jobs on dark instead of hiring random indie talent to do it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. At least Julia Hart lost to Penelope Ford last night. Oh, God.
I don't care about Penelope Pit Stop. I'm sorry.
Pockets won last night. You know how I won?
Yay. How?
Come on. Really?
Superman Punch? So they're
you
going to do that now. They're going to do that every time now.
You know what they're fucking calling it?
I heard they were calling it like the super orange juice or something, or the
orange punch. Orange punch.
Orange punch. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, you're not as human as I am, apparently. Oh goodness me.
It's fucking AEW, dude.
Oh my God.
I fucking can't. I can't. Like, it's so fucking bad. I can't.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I listen to Cornette's reviews of it. That's enough.
I can only imagine. Oh goodness me. All right, let's get into WWE TV from the week. What was notable?
Nothing.
Wow, that's fucked. All right. I mean, I'd say there was okay. Let's. I made a note of this because it kicked off the show, obviously. But I'm wondering if this is like I was saying about the crash, like we were saying about the crash pads. If this is Vince taking a turn back towards normal TV production. So Alexa Bliss put Lily in timeout. Yeah. Now, which is interesting because Ryan Satin, who is relatively respectable, I'd say, out of wrestling media, he put out an article on Fox Sports talking about how one of his wishes for when WWE goes back to crowds and traveling and touring was cutting down on the cinematic horror film shit they've been doing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I heard that at the start of Raw, and I was kind of like, maybe Vince is listening? I don't know. Or maybe he's just run out of ideas of what to do with this fucking doll? I don't know. One would hope it's the former, not the latter. But I don't know. I took a note of that, and I was like, maybe, just maybe, something that's logical is happening, leading into when they go out on tour again. But you shook your head no.
It's Vince, but also they screwed the pooch and they announced the date that the Fiend is coming back. Like, that's something you leave as a surprise.
I missed that.
I think August 8th. There's like graphics all over, like the Fiend returns to Raw on fucking.
Oh, in the cities where they're doing their live tours.
Yeah, like kind of screwed the pooch on that. Like, that's a surprise you should keep under wraps.
Way to screw the birthday surprise for me! Happy fucking birthday, Brian. Jerk-offs.
You know, like, because you could obviously fucking have like pre-taped Firefly Funhouses, and then the Fiend pops up on August 8th. No one's expecting it, you know, but no, that doesn't it doesn't work that way. So the whole Lily's in timeout thing was just like, oh well, you know, people bitch, so you know we're not going to use her for a week, and then people have a peanut brain that lasts 5 seconds of memory, so I'm going to bring her back a week later.
Fair enough.
That's Vince's mentality. Vince is a carnival barker at heart, and that's
well, no
that's the
shit.
mentality.
All right. Nikki beats Trout by count out. Nobody cares.
I care. Nikki Cross is getting TV time.
Aside from that, I'm not even gonna go over this Morrison, Jeff Hardy, Cedric Alexander shit. Like, whatever.
The Cedric Alexander experiment is over. It's done.
It was over before the Shelton shit ended.
True.
Can we get a fucking name for Piper Niven?
They registered a name.
Not the poopy one that you mentioned to me in private. What?
Dewdrop.
Huh?
Dewdrop. DOUDROP. Dewdrop.
Yeah, the poopy sounding name.
Yep. They officially registered a trademark for it this week.
Oh, motherfucker.
I mean, at least Piper Niven's on TV. I was happy to be wrong about that because I thought Vince would never pull the trigger.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
What?
Did you know that word is an Urban Dictionary?
Yep.
So you know what it is?
Because that's Vince being one with the youngins.
This is... how should I... Oh, God. Right. Not that I expect children to be listening to this, but if you are a child, I don't know what to tell you. Why is it giving me the sentence but not the goddamn definition? I can see it in the search, but I can't. Oh my God! All right, hang on. If I had the definition, it was just cut off, and I wanted to see if I get the full definition. All right, there. What if I click on the word? Will that work? No, it'll bring me to a credit card site. I love Google. I really fucking do. I really, really fucking do. All right. So the cutoff definition I'm seeing when you search that word on Google, and if you want to join along, by all means, DOUDROP, dewdrop. The Urban Dictionary definition that I see here is referring to women who are sexually or romantically attracted to other women. Applies to both lesbians and bisexual women.
Yeah. But what's funny, because if you click on the link to Urban Dictionary, it's been changed to the rebranded name of Piper Niven in WWE.
Correct. That's what I get. Oh my fucking God.
But yeah, Urban Dictionary name for lesbian.
Dirty old man.
Everybody loves some HLA.
Yeah, it didn't do too well when Bischoff was there, huh? Anyways, I'm
just I knew it was gonna come, but I can't fucking say it. It's like the second Piper Niven shows up, here comes all the body shaming assholes out on the fucking internet. They're like, blah blah blah. These people got released. They released fucking Ruby Riott to bring in this bitch. I'm like, number one, she's been on the payroll for 2 years.
Right.
Number two, she's a hell of a fucking worker. Number three, fuck off, dude. Like, seriously. It's 2021 and we're still got people with giant no fat chicks banners like hanging behind them. Fucking
I love it. New Day RK Bro. Quality-ish match. RK Bro wins. Rhea beats Asuka in a non-title match. The Alexa Nia Jax match, I can't even say anything because it involved Reginald, so fuck off. Riker won by countout again over Elias. Again, who gives a shit?
Right.
And then Drew beats AJ by DQ because Omos gets involved. Then Lashley and... Oh, no, because Lashley got involved, I think. I don't
It was a whole bunch of fuckery. It was a whole bunch of fuckery that led to a six-man.
Right. It led to Drew and the Viking Raiders facing Lashley, AJ, and Omos, and Drew pinning Lashley. Because, yes, let's just have him pin the fucking champion 6 days ahead of... Fuck me.
But, you know something? No. That's an old staple. You need to do that going into the pay-per-view because Drew has been down lately and Lashley has had his number. So you have to have him pin him in a multi-man situation. Same thing happened going into, what do you call it? It's been used time and time again. I have no problem with that. Like, obviously, like, if they had Lashley pin Drew in that, it would have been like, why the fuck am I going to buy this pay-per-view?
I'm not saying you need to have, I'm not saying you had to have Drew's shoulders down. I don't even have a fault with Drew winning the fall. I'm just.
It's the fact.
To me, I don't understand the purpose of making your. And granted, it's Lashley. It's hard to make a guy his size look weak, but I hate the idea of having the champ lose a match that soon before the pay-per-view. And I don't. That's just, I don't know.
Because
maybe I'm just fucking stupid.
It's the weight of the fact that it's Drew's last shot at the title. And he came up short against Lashley at Mania. He came up short against Lashley at Backlash. Lashley has had his number. And the whole thing was like, the whole story's ass backwards. Because Lashley beat him up and had Miz cash in, and then Lashley went after Miz. The whole basis of that was Lashley cannot beat Drew. And they completely fucked the pooch on that when Mania.
And now he's beat Drew at every punch since then.
Exactly. So you have to have Drew look strong going into this last chance. Otherwise, people are going to be like, it's his last fucking chance. He keeps getting better. I'm not going to watch this shit. But the mentality is people will have the investment of this is his last chance. And obviously, he's shown he can do it. So let's see if he can do it in the cell.
That's all I'm going to say. Like, I understand what you're saying. I respect it. It goes back to what you said just now, though. They fucked it from the start, so why not continue to fuck it while you can? That was a very open-ended way of finishing that sentence, but whatever, fuck it. So, NXT. I want you to say that I was kind of right. Just one time. Just one time say I was kind of right. I don't even want to be completely right. Just say I was kind of right. One time.
I never said you were going to be wrong. I just said it was a bad fucking choice.
So, we start the show with Regal. It sounds like he's going to retire or step down, whatever. Cross comes out, says usual heel shit to get himself over as a heel. Good for him. And then Samoa Joe comes out. Refuses to take over as GM, but counteroffers to be the enforcer of NXT, essentially. And Regal says, sure, fuck it. As long as you don't touch anybody first, fine, go ahead. And saying, and he also said that he won't compete. We'll see how long that lasts. I give it 2 months.
He's not medically cleared.
It'll happen. Don't worry.
I'm so sure.
Imperium Breezango, that's the way to fill TV time. Nobody really cared, honestly.
I liked it. I think it's a good fucking feud they got going.
It's a filler feud until they can get Imperium somewhere in the title picture again. That's all it is. Then we see Joe's first interaction as Enforcer as Cole touches Joe while trying to attack O'Reilly, and then Joe puts the Coquina Clutch on Adam Cole, whatever. So then at that point, too, Regal books Cole O'Reilly 2 for Great American Bash in a few weeks, and also says that both of them will be in singles matches this coming week on NXT, and they get to choose their own opponents. I'll mention that to tease what's coming next. Kushida beats Trey Baxter. Have you heard of this Trey Baxter kid at all? Or am I the only one that had no idea?
Yeah, it's fucking Christian something or other. Blake Christian. I was never a fan of him. He's been in the business for like 2 years.
The name sounds familiar. I'm just drawing a blank right now. I'm sure if I look it up, I'd figure it out.
He's nothing special.
Well, Kushida, it was his open challenge. He won, kept the belt. Then O'Reilly came out during the match and was just watching. He gets in the ring after the match and challenges Kushida as his opponent for this coming week. Which, or like obviously, you would assume it's going to be a banger. The only question I have is, have they haven't been promoting this as a cruiserweight title match, have they?
No, they
Even
haven't.
though
And
technically O'Reilly makes weight.
yeah, but because O'Reilly said I'm not coming after that. And you know something? This is what I hate. It's gonna end in fuckery. It's gonna be a banger of a match that's gonna end up with Kyle getting attacked by fucking Cole and Kushida getting attacked by someone else. And end in no contest. It's a given.
Yeah, I would put good odds on that. $1 million champion coronation. LA Knight punches a senior citizen, and Cameron Grimes comes in for the save. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez beat KC and Caden. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Because then it accomplished. Story-wise, it didn't really set up anything or continue anything because there was no Ember Moon involved, no Shotzi Blackheart,
right.
No anyone. So,
yeah.
Io Shirai segment with the way attacking Zoe Stark saves her. Okay, you set up a tag match for the future. Good for you. To me, the only high-quality match of the entire week on TV was Ciampa and Thatcher against GOIV.
Yes. That was a hell of a tornado tag.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't watch it, I highly recommend you go see it. Go on Peacock. Go on Peacock, guys, or go to Hulu and pull it up. Actually, is it even?
Yes,
I know Raw. It is on Hulu. Okay, I was trying to remember if that was just a Raw thing or if that was an everyone thing. Okay,
no, that's every WWE weekly show.
Right. Oh yeah, you can also pull up Main Event if you really want to watch that too. So now we fast forward to SmackDown.
Well, hold on. We have a little caveat to NXT. There's a couple of guys got dark matches this week.
Oh,
news to you. Yeah.
Do enlighten me. I want to hear this.
Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed both had dark matches before the SmackDown taping. I'm not sure who they worked against, but they both had singles dark matches. It was basically so Vince could take a look at them because, God forbid, Vince actually watches his own product. Vince wanted to see them live, and he wanted to see how they would look in a bigger arena, in a bigger ring.
Them as in the guys that Kross and Reed were facing?
No, as in Kross and Reed themselves.
They're in the same fucking place they just had their shows the last 18 months.
Yeah, but you need to look at it this way, because this is Vince's mentality. Vince doesn't watch NXT live. He gives notes, but he also fast forwards through. Vince wants to see what they look like real time. He wants to see what they look like in a bigger arena, and he wants to see what they look like in a WWE ring because the NXT rings are 18 foot and the SmackDown or Raw rings are 20 foot.
So wait, were these dark matches at NXT or were they at Raw?
No, they were at the Thunderdome.
Okay. So you're making more sense there. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because if they were at CWC, that was fucking useless.
Well, yeah.
All right. That makes more sense. Okay. Yeah. All right. You saved yourself at the end. All right. You saved yourself for the end. SmackDown. Mysterio comes out, wants Roman to come out. Roman, whatever. That was just. One of the biggest wastes.
I'm gonna beat you up.
That was one of the biggest wastes of an opening segment in a while. Cruz and Aziz beating Biggie and Owens. They make Aziz look strong as he got the finish. Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Corbin Nakamura in a battle for the crown. Nakamura wins. So are we going
to King Nakamura?
Are we to a point now where this can be a regular thing again, like it was back in the day when they would have crown matches?
Yep.
Harley, Haku, Jim Duggan.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah.
hmm. I don't mind that. I really don't mind
Yeah.
that, actually. I'm,
Exactly.
I'm cool with that. As long as, here's the caveat I'll give it, though. As long as it involves people, like, I want them to treat it kind of the same way that the Intercontinental title was treated for the longest time. Like, put good workers around that. Don't
Right.
just make it a complete fucking throwaway stupid thing.
Right.
Thank you. Um, Bianca and Bailey, that was, that was what it was.
Set up for being a hell match or for
Correct.
a cell match. Yeah.
Correct. Um, Also, at this point, we also already knew about KO and Sami Zayn being booked for Hell in a Cell, which you called weeks ago, basically. Um, Roman and Jimmy backstage. Nobody knows where Jay is, and Jay Uso would not make an appearance at all during the show, which I thought was actually kind of interesting for the angle. Otis and Angela Dawkins never gets off the ground because Otis and Gable just lay out Dawkins. Again, just trying to fill time basically on TV. That's all that was. Cesaro sits down for an interview with Kayla Braxton. Then Seth says, Kayla, get the fuck out. They exchange words. Cesaro pushes Seth. Whatever. It booked their match. It booked their match for Hell in a Cell. Congratulations.
Yeah, we get some fun. Yep.
And then Roman and Mysterio, finally, the main event, Hell in a Cell for the Universal title. Roman retains, like we all knew would happen.
I was not comfortable.
No fuckery.
There's no fuckery, but it was literally like Rey with weapons for 20 minutes. And then
Roman being like, oh, right, I'm 100 pounds heavier than him. Fuck this dude.
Exactly. And I get how they're trying to make Roman more over with the guillotine choke and everything, but the way he did it with Rey was just terrible.
Looked weird.
Because, it's because he can't do the guillotine choke to Rey because Rey is so tiny. I can't wrap my legs around you because my legs will be around your ankles while I'm doing this shit.
Touché.
It's the same mentality as one of my favorite SmackDown moments of all time, when Jack Swagger lost his shit on Rey Mysterio in the trainer's room and went and grabbed him and put him in the ankle lock, and he's got him 3 feet off the fucking ground and walking down the hallway.
That's right, I forgot about that. Oh my god. Which, by the way, to rewind a half hour, he did the ankle lock in a fucking MMA match. You don't get away with that shit in the cage. Anyways, I'm sorry. You brought that up, but I totally forgot that I didn't mention that. To me, it probably would have looked pretty goddamn funny if he'd put him in the correct version of the guillotine and just kind of swung him around like a fucking baby. That could have been pretty. To us, funny because we're assholes. But I think that would have accomplished kind of the same thing, ish. Anytime you can see a little person get ragdolled in a wrestling ring, it does the heart warm for us. Sorry, Shady. Poor bastard. Love him. Poor bastard. All right. So that brings us to Hell in a Cell, as we are taping this on Saturday the 19th. Hell in a Cell is tomorrow night. 6-match card. We'll work our way least importance, least giving a shit about, to most giving a shit about. So we'll start with the one you predicted weeks ago, KO and Zayn.
I predict Sami and some fuckery. I think KO's, but they had KO at the upper level for a while, and Kevin, and you know something, KO always has Sami's number. I think this time it'll be different. I think they're going to let Sami squeak out a win on this one.
Booking wise, that ending makes the most sense. So I would agree with you on Sami. Seth and Cesaro. And the only reason it's this low is because they didn't, like I mentioned earlier, you didn't take your longest running story and put that in the cell. You made it a regular match. That's the reason I'm putting it second on this right now.
Yeah. I think we go with Cesaro finally squashing everything moving on to whatever he's going to, which God knows what. But
agreed. Actually, I should have done this match before Seth and Cesaro. I apologize to those two for doing that to them. Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler.
Alexa wins. Fuckery from the doll and amazingness by me that I'm able to make me laugh.
All right, that's all right. 3. I don't know why I even bother doing predictions sometimes because I feel like we're always thinking the same brain. Let's go to all right. We did SmackDown back to back. Let's do Raw back to back. Women's title: Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair.
I'm hoping it's Rhea. I'm not 100%, but I'm hoping it's Rhea.
We are both in the same boat. We're both hoping, but getting inside of Mr. McMahon's head, we're thinking.
There's been mention of Becky showing up at the PC to work out. So like that's great and all, but it's like, do we need to see Becky Charlotte again?
Especially considering.
Let Charlotte shooting with Nikki Cross for a bit.
You know what? I'm not saying I want to see her right away when she comes back, but I know what I would like to see. Because I don't think it's really been done much. I can't remember specifically when they were both on SmackDown how much it was done. What about Becky Asuka?
Yeah.
Just because I don't think there's ever been really, because they didn't cross over each other in NXT.
Right.
I don't think they encountered each other much on SmackDown.
Not that I recall. No.
It was a lot of Becky, Naomi, Becky, Carmella, Becky, Bayley.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any real Asuka stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is untapped, and just for the fuck of it, why not tap into that eventually when she does come back? But that's the topic for another day.
Yeah.
Now we get to the 2 cell matches. Let's start with SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair and Bayley.
Bianca, she still got that rocket strapped to her.
Too many fucking bees. Let's just finish this shit up. God damn. Because even I almost had Michael Cole syndrome there for a second. And then finally, Drew and Lashley for the WWE title. Your thoughts?
I'm thinking Drew. I'm thinking they realize they fucked up by not having Drew get the title back at Mania. I guarantee they're going to drag, and they want to drag a little bit, but they want to squeeze a little bit more blood out of this stone. They can't do that with Drew losing. So they have to have Drew win and have Lashley chasing for the title.
Unless you pull a Raw 1998 angle.
There's a lot of shit that happened on Raw in 1998, and a lot of fuckery and a lot of run-ins.
So the end of, I have the year right. The end of 1998 was Mankind winning on a pre-taped Raw, where all hell was broken loose, and Austin, who was obviously Austin versus the Corporation, that was huge at the time. Yes. He decided to come down, lay out Rock with a chair. So I just don't know where you go with Lashley if you have. I think Lashley's going to win, honestly. The question just becomes, okay, does Drew stay involved by potentially helping somebody beat Lashley down the road to reopen that door eventually? The only thing that makes sense to me, just because they've already set it up, is Kofi.
Yeah.
I'm just not 100% certain how they would pull that off. So, but that's kind of where I'm thinking Lashley wins. They go back to the well with Kofi. Drew's somehow involved, and Kofi gets the belt at some point within the next 30 to 60 days. I'm not saying that's the best option. I'm just saying that's just my gut feeling, because to me, you don't set up Kofi without a follow-up. Or they shouldn't have if they had no follow-up, is what I should say. Because who the fuck knows with WWE? They shouldn't have set it up if there wasn't going to be any follow-up. Because you know damn well, if Lashley wins tomorrow night, Kofi's going to come on Monday and be like, all right, Drew's out of the picture. How about me, motherfucker? You know that's what they're going to do on Monday night.
Well, you also got to figure the fact that they've had the vignettes where MVP's been talking down Kofi. So now, like, you could very much have it as
Kofi fuckery.
Lashley drops the title, and then Kofi's just like, "Yo, you said you wanted to be my agent. What's up now?" And just fucking with MVP.
Or you, again, this could be rushing things. You could have Kofi fuckery tomorrow night.
You could.
I don't know. I feel like there's a few different directions they can go with the way they have laid out the Kofi Kingston stuff. Yeah. I just think most of those roads lead to Lashley retaining. I'm not saying it's the best option. I just think the way things are laid out, that's probably where it goes.
I guess that's the one where we're split.
That's right. We actually have a disagreement. Holy shit. All right. So now that leads us to the hot list. Our weekly top 5 list on different topics. This one was interesting, created by Monsieur JJ, and it was a thinker for me because I really had to dig through the brain and get some names together here for this one. Top 5 wrestlers or personalities you would hire for creative or producer roles backstage to help revive WWE, which means he's saying WWE's in fucking trouble. I'm kidding. So first off, before we get you to start your list, is there anybody you cut off that you think could have been on your list?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any names in particular that jump out to you?
Yes, one name.
One name. Who's that?
Me.
All right, good night. Well, how did I not see that coming? Like, it's you, and it's you. I'm such a fucking naive piece of shit. All right, egomaniac. What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is someone who's been a bit quiet on the wrestling scene in the past year because of certain issues, but doesn't matter. Doesn't change the fact of his professionalism and his body of work, what he has accomplished, and how everything both inside the ring and outside the ring, and that would be Brian Fury. Brian is the man who is responsible for so many talents that have come through the WWE system that are currently there. If we didn't have Brian Fury, we wouldn't have T-Bar or Donovan Dijak for that matter. We wouldn't have Carmelo Hayes. We wouldn't have whoever the fuck Anthony Reen is playing this week. Brian is responsible for a lot of talents. Brian knows the business. He knows psychology. He knows the way to put together a match and put together a long-term storyline, as he has been the booker for one of the longest running indies in the country, and that's Chaotic Wrestling.
And not just WWE, he's also responsible for a lot of nameable talents in Ring of Honor as well.
Exactly.
So I don't know why I didn't think of him, but when I saw him on your list, I was like, fucking duh. Like, it made all the sense in the world to me just because of the crop of talent that's come through the system, we'll call it the system, at WWE for the last 5 to 10 years. It makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm with you on that one. I like that. My number 5, I decided to have a female on the list because, and this isn't any kind of like don't call me out because I'm doing this just for equality. Don't call me out that I'm doing this because I feel like mixing men and women in the workplace. Just shut the fuck up, okay? Because to me, You see the impact Sarah Del Rey has had on NXT women and helping them
Mm-hmm.
train and develop and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and TJ Wilson is doing a fabulous job himself when he gets the opportunity to work with the women and their matches. But I feel like adding a female presence to the upper level rosters could help.
Yeah.
And I thought and thought and thought. I had a couple names. Like I had the idea of maybe Paige coming back. I had the thought of maybe Lita. But the one name that kept sticking out to me is now no longer championship-wise tied to the company she was tied to, and that's Serena Deeb.
Yes.
She was NWA Women's World Champion for a while. Just lost it. If I'm spoiling NWA for you, sorry. Download the Fight app, jerk off. But she did just drop the title to Camille on NWA programming. So I just feel like that opens up the opportunity where if they wanted to go in that direction and hire a female for backstage, what the fuck did I just miss?
I do not handle the championships. My wife Camille handles the championship money.
What the fuck did I just miss?
Eddie Murphy Raw.
Oh.
Making fun of Bill Cosby.
Oh,
my wife Camille lives with me and my 5 children.
I thought you were making fun of Thomas Latimer for never winning anything.
No.
Anyways, that wasn't meant to be mean, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just saying you don't have anything she does. So yeah. Also, one I just thought of where if they were smart, they could have swerved her release was Mickie James. Yeah. But obviously her doing this shit now where she's booking an all-women's event for NWA, that kind of shits the bed on that right now. So
yeah.
But I'd say Serena Deeb would make a whole lot of sense.
Definitely. I can see that.
What's your number 4?
My number 4, because I think it's time for us to face the facts that unless he is thrown an exorbitant amount of money, that an in-ring return is not going to happen, even though we all fucking want it. However, that doesn't mean he can't work in a backstage position, and especially someone who would put everyone else in line, because he pulls no punches, and that would be CM Punk. Like, he knows how to get other people over, and that would translate well as a backstage producer or even someone on creative who can say, listen, these are the people that need to be pushed, and this is why. And he would sit there and he would put out a completely calculated argument against whatever they have.
This is funny because so the whole purpose, something I recognized after we did our first version of the hot list was one of us has to see the other guy's list before the show, because I feel like we need to present 10 different options to be discussed and not just repeat each other, essentially. Yeah. So when I saw your list, that was one of 2 guys that were on my list, and I had to switch it up last minute, which is fine. I had fucking 12, 15 people listed. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, you can just see from the stuff he was doing for a long time, WWE and even before that, like, he clearly has a mind, so why not make use of that mind instead of letting it rot away, thinking he can half-assed professional MMA fighter. Number 4. My number 4 is somebody that currently is doing undercard meaningless shit for WWE, that if he didn't want to try going back to the indies when done with WWE, I think could be a positive impact backstage for WWE. I just feel like Drew Gulak, and if he doesn't work backstage, I think NXT would also be a good fit for him as a trainer. Like, put him in there with all the young trainees doing in-ring work every Friday. I think Drew Gulak would be a tremendous positive for all the younger talent that they have coming through there, whether it's staying on the main roster backstage or going down to NXT and working in the ring with these guys.
100%, absolutely. I can't believe I didn't even think it. Drew didn't cross my mind.
That's why I asked you the question: can we name people who are still currently active, who we think might be towards the end of whatever contract or career they're in right now?
Gotcha. That makes sense now. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, Drew's always had a great mind for the business, and is another person. Obviously, all he's been doing is putting other people over on main TV for the past couple of
Getting,
years,
getting roses shoved up his ass, but
right?
whatever. All right, what's your number three, man?
My number three is someone who is a fountain of knowledge when it comes to the wrestling business, and also has the chops to back it up because, as I mentioned, all the people that have come through the system because of Brian Fury, there is an even more vast number of people that have come through the system that have come from this man. And that would be Danny Cage, the owner and head trainer of the Monster Factory. Uh, if you if if you're on social media, find Danny Cage's Instagram account and his Twitter and all that. He is a fountain of knowledge, both of wrestling and outside wrestling issues. He's one person that he and I have had agreements so many times about people not realizing where they belong on the card and why like everyone has a place on the card and why you have to do X, Y, and Z. And he's helped develop so many people. I mean, you just go look up the Monster Factory and look at their graduates and look at how many people have gone on to be signed by WWE. Like, I mean, most recently, even though I fucking can't stand him, fucking Damian Priest came from the Monster Factory. Fucking Big Show trained at the Monster Factory. It was before Danny took it over. It was Larry Sharp, but Danny kept Danny kept Larry Sharp's vision alive, and he kept Larry's he kept all of Larry's mentality alive. And they just started putting together an independent wrestling TV show for the Monster Factory, which is great because it gives his students something to do. But he's just a fountain of knowledge that would be an amazing asset, either as a backstage producer, just talking to guys, or on the creative team.
So let me put you out. I'm not going to name every notable alumni that I see on this list, but I'll just throw out some names that have come through that building.
Yeah.
That company. This is both. I'm going to name some oldies and some newies. All right. Okay. Yeah. Balls Mahoney.
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the Big Show. Chris Candido came from the Monster Factory. D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, Matt Riddle, The Pitbulls, Raven. Sheamus came through there once he came over to the U.S.
Exactly.
I mean, they put out talent and high level talent. They don't just fuck around, take your money, have you take 6 weeks of bumps and say, okay, you're free. Like they're not that kind of school. They do their shit the right way. So totally agree with you there. Yeah. Number 3. So the reason I'm putting this guy at 3 instead of 2 or 1 is because he's still active and he's with the rival. And I know he has other stuff outside the ring, but I feel like it would be a shame to let that mind go to waste when he retires from in-ring competition. Chris Jericho. I feel like I know he's got Fozzy, and I know he's probably got some other shit going on. And I'm not talking about a little bit of the bubbly. I'm not talking about that. I just feel like it would be a goddamn waste and an insult to wrestling if he just retired and then just completely stopped all involvement with wrestling altogether. Even if he did something where, like, obviously we're talking about hiring him for backstage for WWE. Even did something as simple as opening up a school or something like that. Like something. I feel like he's got to be around longer than just being an in-ring competitor.
If this was 4 years ago, I would agree with you. However, Jericho's given all he can to this business. There's no doubt about that. I'm pretty sure the tank has been dry for quite a while, and he's been trying to refill it in ways that do not work. Like, here's an issue that I was actually going to bring up a couple weeks ago that I never did. That because it never fucking popped in. But Jared, oh,
I'm listening.
So when younger guys need to learn how to cut a promo, they say do this, do that, the other thing, and like one of the things that always came naturally to me was cutting a promo because I was a theater kid.
Same here.
Jericho, when he decided to go train with the groundlings, is the exact reasoning we have all these god-awful fucking sketches and vignettes on Dynamite. Chris Jericho was known as one of the best talkers in the industry. He didn't need to go join the fucking groundlings to get better. He was at his peak. He wasn't going to reach some like invisible fucking plateau. All he did was make things worse. So in that vein, I think that he doesn't have anything to give to the business after he's done. He doesn't. He's a husk of any talent that he used to have.
You feel like AEW has basically burned out what's left in the tank?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I can't argue that. I understand the logic
watch
on
the
that.
Broken Skull session he did with Austin. It's all him tooting his own fucking horn.
I see where you're coming from. All right. I mean, I'm not going to argue. I mean, that's fine. Just have to wait and see, I suppose. Number 2, go for it.
My number 2 is someone who, former WWE employee, who didn't really get a fair shake because he got saddled with kind of a lousy gimmick. And the thing is,
religiously labeled.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've always said, like, if you can make the gimmick work, then they'll make it work for you. But he was just kind of, it just didn't work for him. And at the same time, he was also like kind of stabbing the office in the back online the whole time. And he didn't realize it, but he was doing his own shit doing it. And that's Colt Cabana. Like, and Colt's a great hand, and he'd be great, even as a trainer. But Colt got over, and it wasn't just getting himself over. It was popping the boys and popping the fans when he did shit like Creative Has Nothing With You and Worst Promo Ever. Both those series ran for a long ass time. There is a level of creativity there that even if it's just comedy shit, is something that Vince could fucking use. Like because Vince loves his comedy bullshit, and you have someone who is able to translate that into a wrestling foreground that can make it work, and people will laugh. So why not give it a chance instead of just hiring reality TV show writers who know nothing about the structure of a wrestling show?
God damn it, pal. Help make my superstars comedians.
Make them join the groundlings. Oh, wait.
My number 2, I think you're going to bring up the same argument that you just brought up for Jericho with this one. Because now that I really think about it, he could be burnt out himself, hence why he's doing a podcast now. Kurt Angle.
I don't think Kurt's burnt out.
I just think there's a level of frustration there, though, from how things worked out in ring with all the shit he was doing on TV. I'm not 100% certain there's a same level of understanding between him and Vince as to how that wrapped up.
I don't know. I think they wrapped up on okay terms. Like, people bitch because he did the job to Corbin on the way out. That's a time old fucking tradition. Is you put the younger guy over on your way out, And Angle was completely fine with it, and Angle chose that. You know, something, whatever. Angle, like, he was able to fucking get his Hall of Fame. He was able to get his Hall of Fame induction. Came back for a short run afterwards. People loved it. And you know something? I think that when he's actually under the WWE banner and under that pay scale, that he's happier. And I think he would have something to offer.
I agree. I'm just not, again, like I mentioned, I'm just not 100% certain the terms that they ended on. But I gotta tell you, every time you say that goddamn phrase, there's only one thing I can think of. It's a time-honored tradition in our business that you lose the title on the way out. Like, you keep making me think of the Vince interview after the Montreal Screwjob. Every time you fucking say that phrase. Anyways, let's get to your number one, which was the other person I had on my list originally until I saw your list.
My number one is someone who has proven time and time again with several promotions that he knows how to book long term, that he knows how to get talent over.
And is technically already employed by WWE, just not in the United States.
Yes. And that would be Gabe Sapolsky. Gabe built Ring of Honor from the ground up until Kerry Silken took it over. Gabe was there for the glory days of Ring of Honor in the beginning. And then when Gabe was unceremoniously gone from Ring of Honor, he said, fuck it. And he started Dragon Gate and Evolve. And holy fuck. He got to the point where he was able to sell Evolve to Vince. Even before that, Evolve was the feeding ground that was one step below NXT. When you had NXT guys who weren't ready for TV but needed somewhere to work, they went to Evolve. And Eddie Kingston had to put up with fucking Aziz forever and realized that the kid wasn't getting better. And that's why my heart goes out to Eddie Kingston. but you know, and like, yeah, so he's technically still like with the overseas stuff, but Gabe should be in the office in Stamford. I mean, it's a short travel. He lives in New York, like in the city. Like, he's a perfect fit. Like, and the thing is, because Gabe learned everything from Heyman. Like, so like he just
doesn't come across with half the attitude and ego Heyman does. That's the difference.
Exactly. Gabe is an extremely humble individual. And I just think that, you know, it's like, especially in that role that, like, because like Vince still has a couple of like old war horses on creative. Like, Michael Hayes can't do it forever. But if you want someone at that level, you know, to oversee the creative team and tell them what's what as far as what's supposed to be in the vein of the business, it's Gabe. Like, he's got what needs to be there, and he should be in that position.
And for those of you who didn't understand the reference I was making before he said Gabe, Gabe is currently assigned booking NXT UK with Jeremy Borash. That's the role he has currently. So, obviously, big difference between booking talent that's 4,000 miles away and working with talent that's in front of your face. So,
exactly.
That was the reason I had him on my list. And obviously, I mean, you said it all. I have nothing else to really need to add. My number one, I don't know what to make of my number one. I like, it's a good selection for the list. I'm just of the vein that I have this weird feeling he's gotten a little too comfortable with maybe eating an extra donut here and there, that he doesn't want to deal with fitting into suits anymore. And this is the name I honestly thought you would have on your list. I'm kind of shocked you don't, being an ECW guy like you are. And no, I'm not going to say Tommy Dreamer, because it's overdone, and I don't know. He has a weird hard-on with the Impact crew. I don't know why, but he does. What about Ray Dudley? Again, it's one of those things where I feel like he doesn't seem to be doing anything with Ring of Honor anymore. He clearly is doing nothing with AEW or Impact. I just think, again, it's one of those things where you know what he can do, so why not try to tap into that, even if it's just for a trial, or if you don't hire him right away for the big time, you put him down in Tampa for a little bit and see what he can do, and then get reports back from Paul or whoever. Okay, but I just feel like Bubba is again one of those untapped resources that could be called upon to come in and try to make some magic happen.
He could be, but Bubba's got a short fuse. Like, that's the problem. Bubba's got a short. I mean, Christ on a crutch. Shit happens when a fan is heckling someone. You don't yank the fan out and bring them into the back and fucking go off on them. Like, it's Bubba's got too short of a fuse. Like, does he have that length of knowledge? Yes, absolutely. Does he have the time in the business? Yes, absolutely. But I just feel like he would. You know the horror stories people tell about Bill DeMott? I feel like Bubba would be another Bill DeMott.
I don't know. I don't know if he would cross Bill DeMott lines.
But you get close.
I get what you're saying, but I just don't know if he'd go that far. So you're saying Tommy would have been the better person to name number one?
No. I mean, Tommy's great too, but Tommy's kind of just having fun, like,
and he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's just kind of floating in and out of wherever he wants to be at the moment. He's a free bird. He does whatever the fuck he wants at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not a structure person.
Like right now, his brain is probably, the pandemic's over. Let me go do House of Hardcore for 2 years. Boom. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's what he was doing before. Like, that's the only reason he's there with Impact is because House of Hardcore, like, Impact was running house shows through House of Hardcore.
True. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
All right. We made it through another show without me punching a hole in the wall, although you saying you were the honorable mention for your hot list. I wanted to smack you across the fucking face. Any parting words you'd like to say? Any final predictions you want to give about the week ahead? Anything?
Final prediction. People that poach my venue draw less than 30 people.
Oh. The night is still young, sir. We need to find this out, because I know you know people, and because I know you, that means I know people through you. So we gotta figure this shit out. That being said, for the vindictive JJ Alexander, I am the almost equally as vindictive Brian Cady. Like I mentioned, our Twitter handles, email, have been scrolling down below the whole show. But for those of you listening to the audio-only version, at Brian Cady, BRIANCADY. The other guy, Mr. JJ Alexander, I point with the wrong hand because I'm an asshole and don't know how to point. At JJ_Alexander. And the email, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, stories, by all means, brian.cady@GozillaMedia.com. As always, we are presented by Gozilla Media and sponsored this week by Mohawk Honda. Will they go out of their way to please you? That'll do it. We'll catch you next week here on White Heat, a wrestling podcast.